You're listening to New Retirement Radio, brought to you by the team at Prout Financial Design.
Hello, I'm your host, Certified Financial Planner, Dennis Prout.
I'm Heidi Cartwright, Financial Advisor and RICP.
Advisors associated with Prout Financial Design may be either 1. Registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC, and investment advisor representatives of Integrated Partners, a registered investment advisor, or 2. Solely investment advisor representatives of Integrated Partners, a registered investment advisor and not affiliated with LPL Financial. Investment advice offered through Integrated Partners, a registered investment advisor. Integrated Partners and Prout Financial Design are separate entities from LPL Financial. Dennis Prout and Nathan Prout are solely investment advisor representatives of Integrated Partners and are not affiliated with LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this show program are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriately qualified professional before making a decision.
WTCM News Talk 580. Welcome aboard. It's New Retirement Radio Time with Prout Financial Design with Mr. Dennis Prout. Good morning, sir.
Can you believe it? He's here.
He's here.
Where was he anyway? Does anyone care? Yes, thank you very much. I'm sure you do.
A few weeks
We
off.
love you. Thanks. It's
Dennis
so good to be back. Ron, you know, I hear you all the time on the radio. It's great to see you in person again.
No, don't.
It is,
honestly.
honestly.
I don't believe you.
He's so handsome. He can't help it. No, this is great. This is great being here. I hear the music. It's like, yeah, just keep playing the music. It sounds great. You know, whatever. We even, Ron, look at this.
Dennis is pulling out his calculator.
Actually, that's my calculator.
Dennis is pulling out Nathan's calculator.
Yeah, well, I knew it came from somewhere. I thought, well, maybe we left it here, you know.
So
everyone else would look at this and go, what's that all about?
is that a special calculator?
It's a financial calculator.
Oh, it's a
very special calculator.
financial
Ron.
calculator.
So on a calculator like this, Ron, just because you're asking.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone care? Yes, they do. I promise. So let's say you had a $450 amount. Why am I so echoey here? Is there a reason behind
don't know.
that? Echo. Hello.
Echo.
Okay, so $450 a month. And if I were to put it in for, say, I don't know, 20 years.
That's $450 a month times 12 times 20.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, it's not multiplied by them all. I have 240 months.
Okay.
And let's say now, for compliance purposes, I'm already getting it into the weeds because we have to assume an interest rate on this. Now, assumed interest rates are assumed only, so we cannot guarantee that these returns would be achieved over a period of time.
Nice.
But let's just assume, given that we're averaging in, that we would get, let's say, 9%.
Ooh, that's pretty high, isn't it?
9. Not really when you look at history.
Really?
But
Okay.
over a 20-year period especially,
Okay.
that's very achievable. That'd be, I can't believe I'm going down this rabbit trail here. Neither can they. What is he doing? $478,000.
450.
478.
450 a month for 20 years?
Yeah, yes. Sorry. So 478 grand. Now let's say we were to increase that time frame. See, that's why we talk about compound interest here.
Yes.
But let's say we were to increase that time frame to 25 years. Now, 25 times 12 is, class, 300.
300.
300 time, months. All of a sudden, you're at 714,000. 714. Now, Ron, that is a car payment, is it not?
Depending on the car.
Yeah. Well, it's a small car. I can almost fit into it, whatever. Next, if you go to 30 years, oh my gosh, then it just gets radically unbelievable. Unbelievable.
The amount comes out to $1,083,000 and change.
Not bad.
1.08. Yeah.
$450 a month.
So that calculator.
I wish you would have told me this when I was 15, Dennis. Yeah,
right.
No kidding, right?
But on a normal calculator, a not financial calculator, You can't figure that out, or you have to do it in several steps. How
Well, if it's a financial calculator that can actually get a rate of return on assets with a payment stream, it is a payment stream.
can you buy those in the store, like Best Buy or whatever?
When I was younger, those were expensive.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah.
Now they're probably what, $25? Who knows? $25 is probably a high estimate. Well, it's great to be back. If you do have a question of a financial nature, our phone number and or text is, Ron, please.
You can call us, or you can text it in at 231 area code 9470023, 9470023.
And joining us today is the Nathan Prout. Nathan Prout, our own managing director. Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning. It's great to be here. Yeah.
Because I wrote it down. And you've been with us for 12 years now, is that right?
No, about
11.
10 and a half.
Oh,
so.
Casey, I'm already off. See, 10 and a half years.
It just seems longer.
Right.
Yeah. Well, 10 and a half years, and you're on the way. You're going to pursue your CFP degree next.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to another person in the industry, and this was yesterday, and they were talking about the difficulty of that test. It's not easy. And I said, in thinking about that particular test, the final test, literally I was at the back of the class, in the classroom, taking the test.
A certified financial planner test.
Correct, sir. Thank you. And I looked up. I was done about 30 seconds to a minute before the end of the test was completed. And I looked up, and to a person, now again, I'm in the back, there's probably, 60 to 80 people, folks or so. Every other one to a person had their head down and was working feverishly on their financial calculators. So it is not an easy task.
Don't you hate being the first one done and you look around and go, uh-oh.
Then I think about it.
Do they know something? I
I've
don't
got
know.
a little more time. Should I change my answers? That sort of thing. No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go with it. And then next, Beth Shire, our own director of marketing. Good morning, Beth.
Good morning, Dennis. Welcome back. It's great to have you back on the show.
It's great to be here. Thanks. Ron, we need to think about some music to play in the break too. We'll get to that in a minute, perhaps.
All right.
But today I'm just talking about the fact that I am back. Thank you very much. And that 5 years ago I couldn't have done this. I couldn't have gone for 6 weeks as I was. Because the staff that we have, the teamwork that we have, there are 12 of us now. So we began to make those changes internally, and I thought it was interesting in thinking about this, that it wouldn't have been able to happen. We have 3 advisors, and many times we sit together with clients now because there's that much going on. It amazes me, Ron, how much we have to deal with in terms of why. The taxes. We're going to be talking about that some here today. The taxes changed relatively dramatically under this big, beautiful bill. And we'll get into that in the coming weeks. Even though some may say, well, not much changed. The tax brackets all remained the same. But yes, the standard deduction went up pretty significantly by about 50% plus. The standard deduction for most.
Wow.
That means that the average income earner, we'll just put it that way, is going to get a significant tax break in 2025.
So if the standard deduction goes up or any deduction goes up, it's like a tax cut.
It is a tax cut. So in essence, at a 12% rate, it's somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 in tax cuts for the average income earner.
Plus, was it the 65-year-old plus, because they didn't cut Social Security tax, they throw on another $6,000, I believe, for a
You're
couple?
right on it. That's what I'm referencing. That's increasing, in essence, standard deduction that went up from about $30,000 to about $45,000. I'm rounding.
Yeah.
$30,000 to $45,000. Most people would say that is a 50% increase in the standard deduction, if you will, for anyone over the age of 65. Yes. You got to be 65. That's one of the few times you can be happy about getting older, right? Although my grandfather said he never wanted to get, he was always happy to get older. Always happy.
You know what? I've enjoyed every decade more.
Me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not that I've got a whole
You don't have a
bunch
whole
of
lot of
them,
them.
but yeah, to say that it's been.
Yeah, agreed. Now, there are 7 reasons. Are you ready for this, Ron?
Yep.
7 reasons to consider a trust as an IRA beneficiary. We're not going to have time for them all. Thank goodness for that, you say. We'll probably have time to get to 3 or 4. But we are not attorneys, so this is for general information and listening purposes only. When you are listening to this show, please confirm the information. Many times I've listened to the show and said to myself, I wish I would have said something else as well when I said that. So when you're listening to a show like this, please confirm the information with your own advisor or with us. Did I hear you properly? And look for details in terms of your own situation. First, a trust can be a powerful tool in the right situation. How IRA trusts work. Now, this is in relation to naming a trust as your IRA beneficiary. Why would you want to do that? When you don't trust, generally. When you don't trust those who are going to get the funds for whatever reason, and or for those who might influence them. Individuals who are named on the IRA beneficiary form can be designated beneficiaries. Right. So, John, my brother, he's not my brother, and his name isn't John. But anyway, if he were my brother, and his name was John, a trust is not a person, so it cannot be a designated beneficiary, they're saying. John could be, but the trust can't unless the trust qualifies as a look-through or see-through trust, where John, in this case, is the named beneficiary. Is everyone with me?
No.
What is a look-through?
So just
Sorry. See,
No,
I'm telling you.
If you want to leave your IRA to John, you can leave it to John directly, or you can leave it to a trust.
Yeah.
And then how does John get the money from the trust?
The trust directs that money to John.
Aha. And
John, we like him, but he's named in the trust.
And the trust gives you a little control on what John does with the money?
Exactly.
Aha.
So if you don't trust how John's going to spend it, or or those who might influence him generally, or there are other beneficiaries beyond John, you might like to get it. Let's say this is John's 3rd marriage. And there are not only 5 grandchildren, but now there are 15 grandkids in the picture. Well, those grandchildren, as well as your specific grandchildren, may have different ideas about how they might receive those funds. You see where I'm going? So within that trust, you could control who gets it after John passes away.
Ah.
See?
Beyond the grave.
Beyond the grave. Now, in that instance, that might make sense. Now, they also allude to the fact that John may have married someone you don't particularly care for.
Which never happens. These are very hypothetical stories.
This doesn't happen. So, you see what I'm saying? Now, back to the trust. In order for it to qualify as a see-through trust, and believe me, I'm only gonna touch on these, okay? So you can really keep the dial here, and you won't fall asleep. I promise it. So it must be valid under state law. Number 1, the trust. 2, must be irrevocable, or the trust contains language to the effect that it becomes irrevocable upon the death of you. Okay. 3, the beneficiaries, in this case, John again, of the trust, who are beneficiaries with respect to the trust interest and the IRA owner's benefit, must be identifiable. So if his name is John Hanks, John Hanks must be identifiable and must be a real person. This cannot be your Doug. Can be a dog.
No dog.
No dogs.
Does your dog bite?
Cats. Correct. Exactly. When to consider a trust. The main purpose of a trust, is to control or protect post-death distributions from an inherited IRA. Now, is this going to matter as much if it's $100,000? Obviously, generally, we'll say not. But when we looked at compound interest earlier in the radio show? You remember that when it went to over $1 million? You see how that
Yes.
can happen? Yes?
Mhm.
They remember that? $1 million might be a different story. And or they may not have the financial knowledge or wherewithal, even though you want to believe they do, that you thought they might have had. Or you may want to give them that backstop of having a corporate trustee help them manage those assets on the way out. There are lots of reasons you might decide you want to do that. Do we have to be so serious here talking
So
about
let's say instead of giving John $1 million,
yeah.
you put it in a trust, and then you have all that. Like you can say, when John dies, whatever's left over doesn't go to his wife, but it only goes to certain grandchildren. Grandchildren number 3, 4, and 5 get the money, or whatever you want to do. Right? You could.
That might be a Q-tip trust. You just raise the ante.
yeah.
So John gets it, and then so does his wife in this case. That's a qualified terminable interest trust. So we probably don't have time to get way into that, but a couple more points here. But there are several ways you could control how John could get it, as well as his wife, perhaps. But then the children, certain children only get it then, of John, not of his, in this case, third wife.
Could you be specific and say they get the money, but they can only use it for education?
Correct.
Really?
Health, education, it's HEMS. Health, education, maintenance, support. So there's our identifiable reasons that trust could dictate or give those funds. Now what's interesting is you could also, instead of getting this complex on the trust, just name 2 IRAs. Name John as a beneficiary of one of them, and maybe the grandkids of the other. So you can split these IRAs up without causing a huge amount of headache. You can have more than one IRA. One IRA, as many of you know. Okay. Number 1. Okay, we got about 2 minutes left before our break here. 2. Okay. Minor beneficiaries. When there are minor children involved, naming a trust can be a good plan. 2. Special needs beneficiaries, maybe the biggest reason. For special needs beneficiaries, a trust is essential to manage money and to protect government benefits after IRA funds are inherited. So if you've got a special needs child or grandchild who cannot receive a lump sum under the rules related to that special need, then a trust could help shield that asset from Medicaid, in this case, seeing that asset. 3, vulnerable beneficiaries. There is no shortage of con artists looking to take advantage of vulnerable or naive beneficiaries with large inheritances. We're seeing that more and more and more. They call it, I think it's the terrible term, they call it pig butchering. I mean, they have found so many ways to abscond with other people's monies, especially significant dollar sums held in these accounts. So this can be one way to help protect them.
We're also seeing more custodians as well offer to be what's called a corporate trustee as well. So especially with these very complex trusts where it might be pretty contentious with how the money is dispersed, a corporate trustee can take some of those potential fights or litigations out of it by just essentially they're removed from the situation and they just follow directly what the trust says as far as who it disperses to and what it's dispersed for. It can really take the pressure off of the hypothetical John in this situation or even one of your children as the trustee that succeeds you. So.
Point well said. So if you don't want one of your children to have the full responsibility of trying to navigate between his 2 sisters, in this case, we'll just say they're 2 sisters, who are constantly fighting and jawing, and in fact, he doesn't want to become an enemy of the camp, of the family camp, you might want to name a corporate trustee where they can officiate between the 3 of them. And then he, in this case, doesn't have that responsibility. If your children don't get along now, when you're gone, it's going to be a lot worse, much worse.
What role does, like Prout Financial Design, financial advisors, do you play versus a lawyer? Don't you have to go through a lawyer to get the trust?
Well, we have to
Okay,
go through
or
a
can you do
lawyer
it?
or attorney to get the trust written and have
Okay.
it, make certain that the beneficiaries are named accordingly.
So if you want a
To that
trust, you
trust.
go through a lawyer.
Right. But if you want a corporate trustee, we can play a role in that because we have several that we can have access to so that an individual or family can have access to that corporate trustee, well-known corporate trustees who are large enough in size. But then the other huge benefit is that we as advisors or other advisors too can serve that interest for you within that corporate trust group. That's the significant difference that can play for you. Fifth, and then we'll move on, divorce and remarriage. While most people love their children and grandkids, they may not feel as warmly towards the people their offspring marry. And we'll just leave that as the last point. So you can see generally, if you see issues related to this with your children and or you want to effect some more control over their financial lives, a trust may be a great way to do that because the estate tax is almost non-existent now. It's good to up to about $27 million, $28 million. But if the trusts are properly written and handled and the estate is split. So quite a fair amount can pass without estate tax. Given that case, given that reality, the control you may want to exercise may be for reasons other than estate tax. In essence, you're trying to help them along in life.
We do have a clarification.
Yes, sir.
Somebody writes, with the big beautiful bill increasing deduction and the over 65 bonus, what I am hearing is that I now can afford to buy that fishing boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
As long as you've cleared it with the others in the house, if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, sometimes the others in the house love surprises, though.
Not. Yeah, there you go. So Nathan's going to be discussing here from Capital Group, and I talk about bedtime reading last night. I was studying this in the evening. And wow. Major outlook in 5 charts. I found it really quite interesting and learned a couple of things here. So Nathan, jump into it, please.
Yeah, so they get into 4 scenarios for global realignment, even though we've already been through a lot so far this year. So rising uncertainty has complicated the task of creating economic forecasts. A global trade war and shifting political alliances could slow growth, boost inflation, and raise the risk of a recession. Alternatively, markets may continue to respond positively to constructive trade negotiations.
Probably depending on what political side of the side of the political spectrum you land in, might have some impact on your thinking with this.
Yeah, but I thought it was really interesting because they get into why their group of economists and portfolio managers use scenario planning rather than predictions to prepare for whatever the future brings.
Yeah.
So they identify a range of outcomes and then connect them to investment implications. So 4 potential outcomes have emerged from what they researched. One is a trade battlefront characterized by significant tariffs and other protectionist measures. Grand bargains, which is the most benign scenario. The return of great powers is another scenario, and assertive nationalism. Each scenario, of course, has different implications for specific industries and stock and bond markets, but one commonality across all 4. Any guesses? Any guesses?
I'm not going to give it away,
Oh,
so
okay.
go for it.
Is greater defense spending due to rising geopolitical conflict. A bit of an unfortunate reality in today's world.
You know what's interesting, though? It's for some it might seem, well, that seems like a no-brainer, but it was interesting across all 4 scenarios. the trade battlefront, grand bargains, assertive nationalism, and or great powers. Greater defense spending came clearly across all four. Now, that doesn't mean it's a guarantee, but what's interesting about that is the number of deals that we're seeing, and I don't know, honestly. Now, this was published 7:30, so relatively recently, but I don't think the EU had actually come in with its deal at that point to increase their own defense spending by 5% rather, of their GDP, and also buy our equipment at that point. So this recent, it's breathtaking what's going on in this economy. The news yesterday is old news. Today, it's Apple Computer agreeing to, what was it, 500
I think
billion?
it was 100 billion.
600 billion
600, thank
total.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
An additional spending for glass
And
related.
manufacturing here in the U.S.
It's absolutely, it's incredible. Now, sometimes you have to recognize, and this will probably get bleeped or taken off the recording because compliance is not going to like this.
I don't know about bleeped, but yeah, we'll see.
Well, they won't be bleeped out, but you know what I'm saying. Because sometimes you have to recognize when you're on the crest of a wave. I would say we're on a crest of a wave with this, with these trade negotiations. I'm happy to be wrong. Well, not really, but I could well be wrong. But this is amazing what's going on. In my lifetime, I've never seen this kind of trade and investment talk in an economy like this. I've not seen it. So I think that's worth something. We'll see.
is.
Yeah.
So another scenario is security emerges as an investment theme. So a fragmented and increasingly hostile geopolitical landscape has forced nations to invest aggressively to safeguard vital resources. In this environment, of course, security has become a key investment theme. For starters, governments are escalating defense spending. There has been a recognition in Europe, Japan, and elsewhere that they must be more self-sufficient in terms of their defense, says Samar.
Don't forget the last name.
Yeah.
Who knows what it is?
So security also extends beyond national defense. Worldwide, countries are prioritizing resilience in energy, supply chains, and technology. Of course, several industries and companies could benefit. So opportunities that they mentioned to look at here would be products across categories, including power generation, grid modernization, and of course, defense systems and cybersecurity.
The cybersecurity area is amazing, and in terms of what we've seen in an appreciation in many of these company stocks, and also those who manage money, if you will, wanting to buy into these industries and looking for opportunities for better prices to enter, for an entry point. This is what we're seeing on the street. It's incredible.
Yeah.
All right.
And of course, market sell-offs, so number 3 here, present opportunities. Markets often overreact to near-term volatility, punishing strong companies along with the weak, a dynamic that played out in early April. Of course, this can present long-term opportunities for patient investors.
And are these buy decisions easy? They never are. They never are. Because there's always going to be a cloud of uncertainty regarding having to make those decisions. So if you are not able to make those difficult decisions, should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I? If you're not able to make that, trust people who are in this industry and who have proven themselves trustworthy over time to make these decisions for you, because they will. They will make those decisions. Are they always correct? No. But over time, given their experience, the information that they have, the research that they've done, the history that shows their results, can tend to move that needle in your direction. I think that'll satisfy compliance. Okay. I rest my case.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Please
If
do.
you look at the graph on the wall, the
Yes.
S&P 500 market, since you mentioned the pandemic, this is 2020 August, 5 years ago.
Okay.
Am I reading that right? The increase in the value is 89%?
No, you're not reading that right.
No.
No, I'm teasing you, Ron. I shouldn't do that live here on the radio. Yeah, yes, you are. No, just go back, if you would, to the beginning of that. And what is the number on that? The value on the S&P?
33.97.
Okay, and it is today?
Today it's 63.58.
Up 3,000 points.
89%.
Now, who would have guessed that? Beth was referencing earlier. Who would have guessed 4 weeks ago that the EU would have come in with all their agreements? That all of a sudden we could potentially have a meeting between our best buddy over there in Russia, Mr. Putin, and possibly the Donald. Chances for that, I don't know what the betting sites would have said. But these pieces are moving very, very quickly. Could be dangerous, could be an opportunity. And they always are, they often are included together. Opportunity often is inclusive of danger.
Risk.
Keep that in mind as you think about your portfolio and about investing. Were you going to say something?
Oh,
Sarah?
risk. Yeah.
Yeah, risk
Yeah,
is a
that's-
part of it.
Yeah.
So your ability to withstand these ups and downs, stuff happens. We know that. But your ability to stick with a good program, especially if you're confident and or if you need more confidence, sit with your financial advisor. That's what we're here for. We're here to help bolster your belief in the strategy that you've done and or to help you make adjustments so that you can gain that comfort level. It is partially psychology, but that's where we prove our worth. That's where any good advisor helps prove their worth, is to help you think about not what's going on yesterday or even today, but to try to gaze into the future and plan for that.
That's right. So it looks like, do we have a question here, Ron?
Yes. Does anyone know when the one big bill goes into effect where we have no tax on tips or overtime?
Yeah, so different parts of the bill, of course, go into effect in different years, but for parts of tips and overtime, that's actually effective this year.
It's like retroactive,
2025.
right?
Yeah, for this tax year. Of course, depending that you meet the other qualifications to hit that.
Yeah,
So.
the maximum deduction is $25,000. The same $25,000 limit applies to both married and single taxpayers. Income limitations phases out when income exceeds $150,000 for individuals, $300,000 for married filing jointly. So it's a deduction with limits, with limitations, up to $25,000 of tip income is deductible. Okay,
For this year.
for 2025. Yes.
Yeah. So getting back to the article here, so a look back at our pandemic-induced bear market in 2020 is a case in point. So stocks across a range of industries suffered double-digit losses, with travel and leisure activities halted. Cruise lines like Royal Caribbean were priced as if no one would ever book passage again.
Listen to that. Okay, now what can that teach us about a variety of companies that who wanted to invest in that industry then? Who would ever be on a ship again,
Yeah.
given this pandemic?
So
It won't happen.
It was crazy. And after plummeting more than 83% in the depths of COVID-19, Royal Caribbean rebounded strongly, advancing more than 1,000% in the 5 years since.
Now, think about this, too. Who likes to be proved wrong? The class of
Nobody.
silence.
Nobody.
Silent. Yeah, nobody. None of us do.
Golly.
What did she say?
Just kidding.
Yeah. Yes, we are married, aren't we? But anyway, given the reality of that, so think about how often our current information or belief system, the needle needs to move, and how others helping counsel us can make that difference. you might want to think twice about believing that this company is going out of business, whatever company that is, given what they have in cash and their ability to survive the worst. Now, not everybody, it's not a guarantee of survivability, but it certainly, again, can move the needle in your favor.
Of course. So such powerful turnarounds don't come along every day. But when markets were whipsawed by tariff news in the first half of the year, the capital group saw an opportunity to invest in certain healthcare companies offering GLP-1 weight loss therapies. So another,
Who would have thought?
right. Another point is bonds offer relative stability. Investors count on bonds to zig when stock markets zag. And that's exactly what happened during the policy-induced stock market volatility that roiled markets earlier this year. So when the S&P index fell 18.7% from the record high set in February 19th of this year to the recent low on April 8th, the Bloomberg Bond Index gained 1%. This relationship will be vital should economic conditions weaken abruptly. So we'll see what happens with that.
So it's another lesson on diversification. There is no one strategy that's going to fit for all, but as we've said before, diversification in this kind of economy has never been more important. It never has. And what's interesting is it doesn't mean, excuse me, that it necessarily has to mitigate or have a negative impact on the returns of your portfolio. It can simply mean that different parts of your portfolio, of course, have an opportunity to perform, and sometimes at levels you could not have even imagined.
Right.
We're seeing a fair amount of that today.
Yeah. And their final point is markets, of course, have been resilient over time. So the desire to act when markets tumble is understandable, but the cost of selling could be significant. So, of course, the world has changed since that initial round of tariffs. The rapid development of artificial intelligence and the greatest inflation shock in decades have had significant economic implications. But the first half of 2025 shows just how unpredictable markets are. We don't know what next year will bring, but history shows the markets have proven to be resilient over time.
It's not just the markets, of course, it's the economy. And most prognosticators were dead wrong at the beginning of this year. Dead wrong to rights. So, don't always listen to the talking heads and to the internet weasels out there trying to influence you toward wackiness, okay? Wackiness. We had a question, an interesting text question there.
We have from an actual listener. It says, in general, in view of the market's recent increase, should a retired investor change from 2 to 3 years of anticipated RMDs in cash and CDs?
Great question. It depends on the rest of your portfolio and whether any of that could be liquidated. It just depends on how much your RMD is versus the value of it. No, those are always related. But as you age, of course, that RMD percentage increases. And it also depends if you want to gift any of your IRA tax-free to your favorite charity. Given that you're over the age of 70 and a half already, any of that IRA can be used as a non-income gift to you. In essence, it's tax deductible up to, I think it's $108,000 now. It keeps increasing with inflation. So you want to think about 2 to 3 different things first before we talk about changing the cash level. And of course, a part of it depends on your own risk and again, where the rest of the portfolio is allocated.
Right. And if your RMDs are your primary source of income from your portfolio, you know, it, again, in general, because specific advice is tough on the radio show, but that first bucket, if you will, 1 to 5 years in conservative investments, so you don't have to worry about those fluctuations for your income / RMD is not a bad idea. Usually, but so, again,
right.
But what are they asking as far as
what they're asking?
What they should change?
Let's say out of that IRA, they've got to take $10,000 a year in RMDs. Well, right now there's $25,000 in cash-like investments to satisfy that RMD. So they don't have to go into mutual funds or other appreciating or fluctuating assets to satisfy that RMD is the question. So Nathan's point well taken. You may want to consider up to 5 years of more conservative investments, maybe bonds for a part of it, and cash-like investments for the shorter term aspect. The nice part of this is you can actually get an interest rate on that money now, up to 4.5% or so, depending on that investment's risks. Okay?
All right.
How much more time do we have?
We have 4.5 minutes.
Beautiful. We've got a stat or two. Beth, if you would.
Absolutely.
Let's do that.
Yeah. So in Q2 of this year, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported the median weekly earnings of a full-time wage and salary worker is $1,196, which is 4.6% increase from last year.
Wages
Which
are
is
going up.
Great. That's
Yep.
lovely. Everybody's pocketbooks love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then ABC News reported that over 3,000 Boeing union workers rejected a proposed contract that included a 20% wage increase over 4 years. The existing contract deadline was Sunday, July 27th. However, the Boeing workers agreed to a 1-week cooling off period before beginning strikes again.
Now that you have a light in the corner there that Kim put there, thank you very much, Kim. You can actually see your notes.
I can.
And that's awesome.
Thank you, Kim. She's
bet.
lovely.
She's awesome.
Yes. And according to Reuters, Japan has agreed to a $550 billion investment package in the United States in exchange for lower tariffs on exports. That's from Reuters. That is an insane amount of money.
It is.
You know, it's just like throwing numbers around. It's not real.
How
it's
many
real.
millions of dollars is that? I lose track. Yeah, anyway, it's a bunch.
Yeah.
Just for perspective, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Tesla has signed a $16.5 billion chip supply deal with Samsung. Samsung's new chip factory in Texas is expected to produce the chips for Tesla. That's from Reuters. And then this last stat that we have is kind of near and dear to my heart. Between 2004 and 2023, international adoptions to the United States decreased by 94%.
Whoa.
Isn't that amazing, Ron?
That's just incredible.
Yeah.
So 2004, there were almost 23,000 recorded international adoptions. And in 23, there was a mere 1,275.
Why would that be?
Well,
What do you think about this, Beth?
what I think, well, the Hague Convention that did a lot,
Really
the
cut back on
regulations,
allowable adoptions.
Yeah, which is, it was a good thing, but there were regulations and policies.
So
that
there
were
are fewer
stringent,
countries
and then-
now that you can adopt from?
They really tightened it up, and there were also, you said when we were talking about this earlier, greater support apparently.
More in-country support for parents or for families to be able to keep those children in country. So there are a lot of factors, but just those numbers are incredibly staggering. It's insane.
They
It's
really
crazy.
are.
Yeah.
A really cool adoption story is Tom Hanks, the movie News of the World.
Yeah.
We just watched that in the last couple of evenings. A phenomenal story. It's a lot more going on than just the, in essence, adoption or fostering. But, man, what a great story. News of the World with Tom Hanks on Amazon. Check it out.
I watched that, and I
stuff.
don't remember it now.
Isn't that beautiful? We did earlier, too. And it's a great one to rewatch.
Yeah.
You
Usually
bet.
Hanks movies are pretty reliable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. You bet.
All right, we will begin to wrap it up here. It's Prout Financial Design, Traverse City, Michigan, on the web at proutfinancialdesign.com. Dennis Prout, Nathan Prout, and Beth Shire, thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Ron.
Make
Thanks,
it a
Ron.
great day.